officially 4:30. I call the meeting to order. The first.
I've got to get the swearing in paperwork. Hang on a second. I can pull it up online and we can sign the paperwork later.
We want to do the consent agenda first.
Do that. I'll print it real quick.
So we have a consent agenda. Basically, that's just a combination of the agenda, like approving the agenda, and then the minutes. I don't know if there's any comments on the minutes or the agenda. We do have a request from Rick to have a closed session in new business to discuss fiscal year 25 compensation. So with that change, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. Shira and Ashley. Any opposed? Sorry, I haven't done this in a long time, so sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So consent agenda is passed, and then Rick's going to come back and do the swearing in of Kaylee, our 9th and final board member.
First time in a very long time that we have been.
And I think everybody's where they want to be, like which committee they want to be on. So like, yeah. And I could have that better.
I was hoping to not know if I know one. A little over my head, I think, but
Some more tough for me. I don't know why. So.
This one tends to be shorter.
It does, yeah.
well, I guess that makes sense,
I
yeah.
think the only thing is just come prepared, because a lot of what we do is reading and editing and reviewing and making sure it's clear and concise. And so just come prepared with, your thoughts and notes and whatever.
Have you done the finance one before?
Oh yeah, the other
All of them? I figured.
Yeah, well, I was the board president for 2 years, 3 years. So I had to be at every
You
meeting.
filled all the roles.
You ready?
Yeah.
So we're going to swear in Kaylee Ledbetter.
Okay, stand and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Kaylee Ledbetter,
I get it, Leslie.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
that I will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Decatur Public Library Trustee,
the duties
office of Decatur Public Library Trustee,
of the office of the
Yes, I can.
according to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability. It's like when you're getting married and you're like,
I swear, I do it.
yeah. Words, so many words. So, next thing is public comments. I don't see any. Were there any written comments?
There was one, but I have asked the person if they wanted me to share it with the board of trustees, and I have not heard back yet.
Okay.
So I'm going to consider it relatively confidential. Obviously, it's public record, but unless the person wants me to share it with the board, I will not.
Okay. So next we'll go into new business. So asset disposition policy. So we're just reviewing this for.
Yeah, I have no suggested changes.
Okay.
It's just, we haven't put it in front of you in 3 years, so I thought it was worth taking a look at. We try to, for the new folks, we try to look at policies at least once every 3 years. We are behind right now because we didn't have meetings from June to November, so.
Oh,
Yes, we.
okay. I didn't know it was, I
fit. You get blanket, okay for us to donate books to the Friends.
Yep.
Uh,
Like, I think this one is applicable to the sale of the,
That's what I was gonna ask.
that's like, this is what we use to determine like what to do with that property.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and even with that, we had our attorney come in and talk to us about it, so,
Yep.
and he was okay with it. So.
Yep. So, if anybody, does anybody have any more discussion on this? Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion to send this to the full board for readoption or approval, reapproval?
Yeah, basically.
I can't make a motion, so somebody.
Okay, sorry. Ashley will.
All right.
Iowa second.
Sorry. So about, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I know.
We are all new.
I know. Okay, now I feel better. I was like, as we were going through, I was like,
We were both swimming in October.
yeah,
Okay,
and I
so-
haven't been on the board for 2 years, so I'm, Carl's only, he's not here yet, so.
The bigger report is going, so sometimes it helps our scribe, Michelle Whitehead, if you state your name like you did, actually makes a motion. which you can mark.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so, next, is it locked?
Should be.
Oh, no, I'm talking.
Was it, why did you go in that door? All right. We've already made it halfway through, so,
Halfway through.
yes. Welcome to our beautiful new boardroom.
Appreciate it.
So next is the ALA Library Bill of Rights.
Yeah, last month when we reviewed the standards for the libraries, you might remember there were some things that the ILA and the state library wanted boards to adopt, and we hadn't officially adopted it yet. This is the American Library Association Library Bill of Rights. Happy to answer any questions on it, but this is something that is recommended to all public library boards to adopt as their own.
I like it.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward.
ALA Bill of Rights.
No, I'm sure we're good to go. American Library Association is pretty up on our game.
All right. So, any further discussion? We will recommend this Bill of Rights to the full board at the next meeting. Anybody want to make a motion?
I said,
Carl's moving it. Who's seconding it?
Ashley will second.
Actually, all right. So, any other discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I wanted to give you guys an easy December, by the way.
Thank you very much. Any opposed?
So
All right.
the next one is the same thing. It's recommended by, almost standards for public libraries, and something we've never gotten around to doing. So if you get a chance to review it, it's the American Library Association Code of Ethics.
I have read through this. I had no comments on it.
I guarantee you, if it's ALA, it's gone through committees for hours and hours and hours.
And probably like legal and, multiple
Days.
lawyers and.
They have days-long meetings
Yeah, I
about
didn't-
one document
Didn't
sometimes.
notice anything that,
Was it this?
was a miss or didn't make sense to me.
Does anybody want to make a motion to send the Code of Ethics, the ALA Code of Ethics to full board?
I do the motion. Iowa does the motion.
Ashley will second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Send that to the full board.
yeah, that worked.
Public library trustees ethics team.
Same thing, recommended to adopt, and we never have gotten around to it, so.
Yeah, I don't know, it's still not here.
No.
packet is the old one. This is, when you guys asked me, you wanted to see Bloomington's, and I've got Bloomington's included in this version.
Oh, in this one?
Yes. And what I'm just handing you, kind of our notes so far. This has gotten a,
We're not there yet, right?
what's that?
We're not there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, was there one more?
In the meeting rooms?
Yeah, we have a couple more.
Okay.
Oh,
Is that because it's old business?
because of it, yeah. So, next thing is city librarian evaluation. So I have no idea where we are at with this, so there's nothing, I'm assuming?
We've not done this, obviously, in the last year, it's been very interesting, one for the library, but obviously two for the board, so.
Yeah.
From a functionality standpoint, now all of our efforts for meeting and doing what we could do in the meantime
Yeah.
with our thing. And obviously, since we've done our last one, we've hired an HR source, they've given us a better blueprint for how to do so I know we do have that documentation, that guidance, so to speak, but, no, we have not started that process.
Is that something you could send?
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig it up. I know we've got it somewhere.
And that is in my email, so.
Yeah, I know, because I know they were talking directly with you at one point, were they not?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So,
And don't feel too bad. I think I've had 4 in 11 years.
I
So.
know. We tried. And
But,
yeah, so.
It's always harder, I mean, I'm behind on all mine right now, okay? And I work with these guys every day. You guys see me once or twice a month, and it's not your job.
Well, and you, we have different, like perspectives on like what we need. So from you, at least from a board perspective,
Right.
from the library's perspective, I think.
Yeah.
So, I think at least from a like documents and explaining communication, like that is really helpful. Like,
Right.
I mean, and I think it's only gotten better post-smart, so I'm hearing you. So, okay, so I think we're good with that. The next is other new business. So we are going to move into a closed session.
You have to, in order to do that, somebody has to make a motion to do that
Yes.
and talk about the topic. Then I'm going to shut off the camera, and then somebody will have to take notes. Can you take notes? It's okay if she's in for this, because I've already talked to run it by her. Because we will have to have written minutes for it that get sealed until you guys decide to unseal them. So you have to, the issue is compensation for fiscal year 2025. And then you've got
Pursuant to Illinois statute.
Yeah.
Illinois statute 5 ILCS 1202C2, correct?
more or less, there's a slash in here,
Oh,
in
slash.
parentheses, in parentheses,
Okay.
there's a slash after 120.
Alright.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Can somebody make a motion to go into closed session?
Ashley will motion to go into closed session.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to turn the camera off, but the audio stays on.
Okay.
And then we'll have to remember to turn the camera back on.
Session is now closed. We discussed fiscal year 25 compensation. So you guys will be discussing it next week. Well, we all will be discussing it next week.
And Jordan also recommended saying that no action was taken.
No action was taken. All right, so moving on, any other old business? Okay. Now it's in the year, policy.
Apologies for this. So, and I'm a lot to blame for this, but we've kind of been all over the place with this policy. We came up with this committee came up with some very good ideas. So for those of you who are newer, the problem is we went from roughly 500 meeting room uses a year to over 1,300 meeting room uses a year. So we're actually trying to discourage meeting room use in a sense, because there's only so many hours that we're open and so many rooms that we have. some of the things that we talked about was, we had no-shows, we had one the other day, set up the, you know, the room, Madden blocked off all day, set up for 100 and some people, they just don't show up.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good that we've got in here that, you know, yeah, if you no-show more than twice, you're done for the year, you don't get the room anymore. I recommended, I don't know why this is struck down, but I recommended the change of, will not charge a fee for, yeah, it is, so not-for-profit community and government organizations are based in or have offices in Macon County will not be charged a fee, because we found out-of-county pit places have been coming because we've got free rooms.
Is this the one you're suggesting?
The one I handed you a few minutes ago has got the first,
That's like this.
yes.
Yeah.
That has,
This is the old one.
yeah, that has the suggestions. Then you guys, I talked to you about what they're doing in Bloomington, and you guys wanted more information about
Right,
that.
yeah.
So I just, after our policy, I put it verbatim, what they do. They are having organizations who rent their rooms set it up themselves, unless if they want library staff to do it, there is a fee. Groups may request a special room set up by library staff at a rate of $50. And they make exceptions for individuals that with disabilities are available upon request when requesting a room reservation. We just bought 160 new, really super lightweight chairs for the meeting rooms, so that should make it easier if people want to do that. And I thought they had some other interesting things in their general meeting space policies that I thought were worthy of our consideration.
I like that it discussed, like, it says, like, what the, it's, like, it includes tables and chairs, like, the arrangement, like, 'cause that's what I was asking for,
Exactly.
is like,
Right.
what does setup mean?
Tables and chairs is essentially it.
One comment I had is where it says for events planned and or promoted in conjunction with Decatur Library, organizations will not be charged a fee. That's not what, like, the nonprofits is, right? That doesn't go with the one above it, that's completely separate.
Yeah, because it could be every once in a while we'll do something with a for-profit organization. So,
Okay.
for instance, first-time home buyers workshop. We might do it with a bank. We don't allow them to promote their own bank, but they've got expertise. So we use their expertise to teach people how to do it, and we don't charge for that. Now, if they wanted to come in on their not partnering with us and promote their bank, then they're going to pay a fee.
Right, got it. I do like how Bloomington had it less wordy on the fee structure right here, where it said for-profit groups, this is per hour, nonprofit groups, this is what it is, and then nonprofit or community-based groups each hour after.
I really like that. At first, I don't think Michelle did. Michelle does all our booking, but we're now looking at some software to help out, and the software can do this. I like hey, the first few hours are free. Instead of going, as we had been about to adopt, or actually had adopted, like the first 48 hours, then she's got to track that. Okay, and the software, the meeting room booking software companies that we're talking about, they can't do that, but they can do a per use. So you can set it to 2 hours free, and after that it costs this much. They're fine with that, and they can do the billing. They can send out the bills. I don't know whether this software is not, the setup isn't cheap, the annual isn't bad, but I don't know if we're going to do that, but I liked I think to me, that's simpler and it's less tracking. It's just per
Yeah.
use. You don't have to track it over the course of a year.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
just got it. I thought that was better. I like the, I I'm not sure it would work here. I like the reserve no more than 90 days prior to the date of the meeting, but we do have places that want to book out for a year. Because they want to know, you know,
This could
they're
be
meeting once a month, they want to know they're going to meet there all year, rather than
Yeah.
not be hunting for a space in a couple of years. I thought or in a couple of months, I thought some of their things were also some legal language in there also might be, because I think Samantha asked about that.
the liability.
Right, so they're allowed to say patrons using
Hold
means
harmless.
shall agree to indemnify, save harmless, and defend the, I think that's probably pretty important language to put in here.
I agree.
And
Like all the, like, I felt like it was inclusive, like with the, you know, some of the, I like the disability, you know, like disabilities.
Right.
Sorry.
I'm, not at all. I feel like I've muddied the waters here. But on the other hand, I want to get something that's going to work well for us, and if we have to put it off a month or two, I'm okay with that. So,
Want to like, highlight I mean, that's so hard.
yeah, and sometimes,
Like I want, like, this needs to be in place for January though, like.
yeah, which at this point doesn't seem quite possible. Unless we just go with what we have, and that's fine. You know, if we want to amend it later in the year, we can amend it later in the year, but things that are, you know,
So,
I'm confused, why would we need to wait? We can amend it right now, it's on the agenda.
we don't have to. There's a lot there, and if you guys aren't up to, you know, getting it finished today, I'm fine with that. But if you are, all the better.
it's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the only thing we have left, so, I mean, like, maybe we just figure out like what we like of the Bloomington, and then we send out like an edited version before the meeting next month, or next week. And then we can decide, you know, we can decide to table it or at the
Sure.
full board meeting, if we don't like it.
Definitely the last one, like you said, the hold harmless, or save harmless, I mean. And then the other one I saw that I thought was good was cleanup and vacating of the meeting space must be completed within the approved reservation time. We talked about that. So if you have 3 hours, that's cleanup, vacating, or set up and cleanup.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's all included in your time. Where exactly is it?
It's like right in the
Oh,
middle.
I see it.
But I think it should say set up, cleanup, and vacate of the meeting space must be completed within the approved reservation.
Set up, comma. And, you know, one of the things I was going to say is sometimes I find when I'm trying to amend something, sometimes it's better just to throw it out
I
and
know.
start fresh.
I know. Because I'm like looking at this and I'm like, well, we do want the intention of the first paragraph, which is to make sure that, you know, organizations that are not in Macon County are not using it for free. So we do like, you know, that statement. So, and then the second, we want something, you know, we want the events, you know, planned in conjunction with DPO are not charged.
Honestly,
And-
the first
and that-
3 paragraphs
Okay.
are
But in
good.
that first paragraph, do we want to stick with this first 48 hours of bookings, or do we want to switch to what Bloomington has? Because that's in that first paragraph.
I think that
I like
that was-
Bloomington's better.
Okay, well then, I think, I mean, I like.
That's
that
no
one.
charge no matter what, as long as it's in
It's
the profit.
each hour after the first, they get the
Gotcha.
first 3, and then after that, 25 per hour.
Each-
So it's not,
Each reservation, so if they do 5 reservations at 2 hours, it's free? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the, you know, that would be the drawback is that, you
Yeah.
know, they could do 100 hours, as long as they do 2-hour increments.
So it would say, or have offices in Macon County will not be charged a fee for the first 3 hours of each reservation.
We don't have to stick with 3 hours, but if we don't want to track this 48 hours of bookings, if that's.
So the
I like
intention,
even numbers.
the intention of this is to basically, they get the first 48 hours free, and then after, they have to pay.
That's what we, this committee and the full board had decided on some months ago.
Yeah.
And we brought it,
Do
and it was,
we have any idea how many of these actually go over that 48 hours?
no, because it's something we've never tracked.
Okay.
I think it's easier to track the number of hours in each booking rather than the number of hours over the course of bookings.
That's, yeah.
Agreed.
I think we did the 48 hours, we talked about that, generally, like I said, the organization meets here once a month. They meet for 2
That's
hours.
That's right.
12 hours.
Yeah.
So, 48 hours, 50 hours, generally barometer, and I do think we do have a very large number of them that can meet that threshold, though again, it's not something that really is checked on paper.
Yeah.
Obviously, people that do come here and find this to be a functional space, see if we keep that. in
That
mind,
makes
too.
sense.
Too. So, it
I
has
guess I was just wondering
drawbacks and
if we
benefits.
knew if there were organizations currently using the bookings that we know would hit that, where it's like they might book very frequently, but they're not ever going to be over 3 hours
Yeah.
per.
And I really don't think we even have that data. I think what we have is the number of bookings.
Right.
And then that we can get, but I don't think we have the hours. Because we've never tracked it before. And Carl's right, that was what our thinking was that, we do say 4-hour blocks. So if you do it
Yeah,
once a month.
yeah, that makes sense for how we arrived at
But
48 hours.
But they will sometimes get a 4-hour block when they're only in there for an hour.
Yeah,
And, which, there should be some buffer, and this, what Bloomington, you guys talked about that last month, and what Bloomington did is they kind of count for the buffer, or with that one simple suggestion from Sean,
Yeah,
we just put the
the
phrase set up in
clean
there.
up.
And
It's
and that's
included
part of your
in
booking.
that.
Yes.
Does anyone currently, I don't think so. Does anyone book for multiple days in a row? Like, for instance, I know this is a great example, but we have biometrics that come here once in a while. Obviously, they're only here for a couple hours, and that's a rare occasion. But do we have anyone that, for instance, needs to be here for
Days in a row,
days?
it happens once in a while, not that often.
What are those?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, but it does happen once in a while, somebody's got something special going on, and they'll say, hey, we've got a 2-day training for our staff, and we'd like to hold them at, and they're usually the paying customers.
Yeah, 2 days is reasonable. I guess I'm thinking more of 3 or 4 in a sense, but yeah, because I would think that adding that you cannot, schedule something more than once in a 2-week period would go hand in hand with that.
If Michelle's still out there, she would have a much better.
See, that's what I was talking about. I was talking, she's gonna be gone by the time we're going.
Oh.
But nevertheless, we're here to talk about this for reasons and things being affected by January, so it's not really kick the can down, but could take into consideration to only be able to book once within a 2-week period outside of, discretion of the library for special occasions. This is the wording, obviously, will need to be ironed out.
So it's consecutive, something about consecutive bookings.
Yes. If anything, I would be more specific that booking more than once in a 2-week period outside of
All right.
library discretion for events like we just spoke to that obviously they're not going to be 5 days in a row, but then you need to be here for more than.
Right, it's like once in a blue moon.
Yeah, you can just say something like, bookings on consecutive days must be approved by library staff.
But you're going even broader than consecutive days. You're saying more than once in a
In 2
2-week
weeks.
period.
Yes, I mean, I can see leeway for both of those things. I say, I guess what I just said, in the sense that we're talking about that we're now going to charging people only once they get past 3 hours at a time, and that there is no limitation throughout the year on how many times they're going to be meeting there.
Right.
Because that's, I guess, the double-edged sword that one has to balance. One, providing this service and making it as easily accessible for as many people as possible, but also not.
Yeah.
Then when one of those people comes to understand the situation, prevent them from abusing it, so it is accessible for
Yeah.
everyone else in the community. So,
And what about those organizations that have already booked for next year? There's a lot booked for next year already.
Would this change that?
In some cases, I'm sure it would. I mean, in some cases, I'm sure that they're, you know, let's say Heritage often has 4, 5, 6 hour sessions in our Madden Auditorium. Right now, they get charged nothing. They was beginning to be charged.
the hourly like $25, correct? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah.
We've changed a lot since.
Yeah,
Referring
that's,
to-
again, that's why I muddied the waters here, but some of it's based on concerns that Michelle has communicated to me, you know, and,
Yeah.
You've done your job, about this, please.
I mean, we don't have to do an hour encompassing it all. We could say bookings, we could say, those who have offices in Macon County will not be charged a fee for the first 10 bookings of the year, or 12 bookings, if we want to say once a month. We can say number of bookings, to not exceed
It would be
8 hours in a day.
It would be easier to, because you said you've been counting bookings, not hours.
that would be easier to track than hours. This is it's a weird problem to have, because it's great that people are using the library,
Yeah.
and yet it's causing problems with, you know, library programs. You
There
know,
has
we're
to
trying
be something to help curb it
Right.
while still remaining accessible.
And but we're also not set in stone. Like, if we find out that this doesn't
It's not
work,
working. Yeah.
like, we can always look, I mean, it's gonna be tough, because we will have bookings in place already, but maybe it's only for new bookings, or,
Those adopted
like,
after, or those.
Yeah.
Having,
Booked after.
after adoption. Being a member of staff who's seen the Bloomington one for this purpose for the first time, under general meeting space policies, the very first paragraph, last sentence, the library reserves the right to cancel prior reservations when the meeting spaces are needed for library or city of Decatur.
but it's tough. We've
It's,
got
I'm not saying it's not,
we've got it in there too.
and we certainly have,
We don't say cancel specifically, but we say that we've got our
priority.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we're the priority, and we've done it. We've moved people with it, but it's really tough.
I have no problem saying whatsoever.
We're gonna have Carl make those phone calls.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that part. But I want to see
had yet, sorry.
that part. But I want to see as many organizations, non-for-profits, you could say in theory for-profit, to develop and grow in Macon County as possible. That being said, any organization that's meeting 12 times a year in a space, especially past 12 times a year, probably is at a point in time in their development where they could seek to find other arrangements other than one that is completely free and provided for public service. I mean, it being free is a key component of that from an organizational side, but the purpose of why we're here is a public service. So the whole public, not just a certain.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So,
That said, it's a tough, it falls on one person to make that phone call.
yes,
It's a tough
indeed.
it's
You
a tough phone
know
call.
what? If Michelle wants some help, I will volunteer my time to do that. That's not hold me to it, strike me down.
I was gonna say, I don't
I
see
think
it.
Share it.
the number of bookings though, helps those like, for example, Heritage, who might only have 3 bookings here a year, but they're 6, 7 hours trainings, which does benefit the community. So
They're
having
a
a
lot
number
more
of
than that.
booking, oh, okay.
Specifically, there are organizations like that.
Yeah.
that we're talking about.
So do we have a little bit of a consensus on what we can live, what can we live with right now?
Number of hours, number of bookings.
Is it number of hours, number of bookings? Like, we don't have the software yet, so do we want to go with bookings and then like review it if and when we get the software? Because she's not gonna be able to track this if it's hourly. Like, she's gonna have to manually track it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's a bear.
Yeah.
But she can track, will not be charged a fee for the first 3 hours of each reservation, right? Or no?
Yeah, again, at first she wasn't too crazy about that idea, but I think she's come around to it. That actually is simpler. She was concerned about a kind of a stair-step process, but I'm like, this is actually better. I mean, because it's, okay, in this booking, then you're done with it. You don't have to keep track of it. So,
Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't know, if we're getting like, kind of abused, getting kind of ran over.
The space taken for
But
granted.
to your exact point, I mean, obviously she's gone now, but I would love and or task everyone on this committee that's talking this, at one point in time, come during Michelle's business hours and have her show you the Google Calendar as it looks for the current schedule. It's very, very, for those that have Google Calendar, it'd be color coordinated, there's quite a few different colored tabs in there all throughout the day, every single day. So, it can become burdensome.
it's over.
I can
What
bring that
you
up.
to do so. And that's all,
Yeah.
it's all the rest of the things that she has to do,
It's logged in now.
minutes, all of those capacities. So, Michelle's a hard worker, and we don't want to overburden her more than necessary.
So what-
Instant gratification, there you
So
go.
would it
Yeah.
just be, so we're saying it would be easier just to say like, okay, you want to use the space for 6 hours, well, the first 3 hours are free, then
I think it is.
I feel like, in my mind, it's a lot easier
And
for
that's
me
for
to
anybody,
comprehend that.
anybody or outside of Union County. This is outside of Union County.
I think it's in, you're fine. Or,
I would say that would
Family
be,
situation.
I would say that any nonprofit or community-based groups. But I would think that, I think that organizations outside of Macon County should pay the full
Yeah,
price.
I
I
agree.
agree, fully caveating it by, if we can't offer anyone a car here that's not in Decatur limits without charging them, yes.
There you go. Okay. So
Yeah.
we're agreed on that, outside. And then for the nonprofit or community-based organizations, those are
first 3 hours of,
first 3 hours of free and then $20 after.
and I think $25, I mean, I have to pay,
It's cheaper.
I gotta pay $90 just to rent a space at Bounce Tag. Like,
It's cheaper than anything else. I mean, they got great facilities over at Arts Council. You can rent a room there, okay? Everybody pays. Oh, you want a microphone? That's gonna cost you more. You want a podium? That's gonna cost you more. You want a laptop? That's gonna cost you more. So,
Okay, so I
So then-
think we're
The sentence after, thereafter, those organizations will be assessed a fee according to the attached fee schedule. That will include something like Bloomington where it says nonprofit or community-based, each hour after the first free reservation, 25 per hour. Right?
I think so.
That part, I'm gonna throw back with a question. Does anyone have something about the Bloomington policy that they are not a fan of? Because seemingly right now, we are just adding our own language in addition to what the Bloomington policy would be almost seeming in full totality. So my question being again, does anyone have something within the Bloomington policy that they are currently not a fan of and would like to see amended if we were to adopt it?
I don't think I need to worry about tax meal, staples, tape, all that stuff. I mean, it's never happened. Like, we could put it in there, it doesn't hurt anything, but.
I think our first paragraph where it says, in Macon County is not really in there, other than the library and its affiliates have first priority.
Oh, we're adding our own language to it. I'm saying from the Bloomington policy as it currently
Oh,
stands.
no,
Do you have any
everything
issue
else.
with it?
So how do, like, the twice per month, like, is that like kind of what you were talking about? Because the groups, organizations may use the community rooms up to twice per month is in the Bloomington.
Ma'am.
So
That's
that's kind of
essentially
like,
what we're
That is basically what
that's
you
basically what you were saying.
What is
Slightly
my-
limiting, but yes.
And then we didn't like the 90 days prior to the date of the meeting, because we do have organizations.
to book way more
Yeah.
in advance.
Where is the up to 2 times per month? I didn't see that.
It's in the underneath, right, it's directly underneath the nonprofit,
The
fee
second
schedule.
bullet point is under the payment schedule.
Oh.
We still want to do $25 or $50 for the setup?
I think it's like 50.
how much you would charge for an hour, and,
Of labor,
yeah,
And, I mean, with the newer lightweight chairs, like hopefully that'll be
yeah.
less, at least even on staff, like it'll be.
Right, we're hoping most people are going to just
Do it
set up
themselves.
themselves.
Exactly.
Because I love that,
That
I
is
love
our
that
goal.
part, like the
The goal isn't to collect more money, the goal is to
reduce the
Give-
work.
save Jim's back.
And this time, we
And
could
this
be
time.
doing something else.
Exactly, you could be cleaning instead of setting up rooms.
How do we,
And that's,
how do we feel about the refreshments? Like, I mean,
Refreshments are allowed, but should be carefully planned.
like, do we allow, we don't allow for them?
We do.
Or, well,
we do it in the meeting rooms.
in the meetings, okay. So, I mean, I think this is correct.
Do you allow full buffet?
We do. Right now, we
Well-
have no limitation on what food you can bring.
We don't have any limitations, correct. If somebody decided they wanted to have a full buffet, they could.
So
Has
for
that ever
instance-
become a problem?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. If you talk to Jim, he cleans up after them, sometimes it's a problem. But so
Well,
but here's the
now
thing,
it says
and that's
that
where,
we
so the
can't.
cleanup is, to me, sometimes what he's saying is, we should be charging them for this, is just normal cleanup. You know, if somebody eats, there's gonna be some stuff on, you know. But now, it's not like if somebody's just throwing plates in the corner and not using the trash can or whatever, and there's other times where we knew they were gonna serve food, and we didn't put an extra trash can in there. And we knew they was gonna serve 100 people food, and we only had one trash can in there, and it was overflowing, and they're complaining,
Yeah.
like, we need to put 2 trash cans.
Okay.
That's due diligence on our behalf, but we can definitely do that. I am happy to do a $50 cleaning fee if the library deems it necessary. I don't want to get weighty with the monetary hit for allowing people to come, but if you're going to use the services, don't mind hitting you over the head with
Well,
$50.
this is what this says, the meeting spaces should be left in the same condition in which they were found. All patrons responsible for reimbursing the library for any damages, unusual cleaning expenses, or security measures related to the meeting.
There's
So if you
a,
have to get a carpet cleaning,
in the current policy, there is a $25 thing.
Yes, we do have that.
oh,
And I have never invoked it.
Is there a product or you bring?
Yeah. I have never invoked it because 90% of the time, the cleaning crew will tell me, and they won't, he's already cleaned up, they'll tell me it was a mess, if there's not a picture, there's none like,
They-
a picture.
There's no proof.
Here's a
Like,
picture,
Define
and show me,
mess.
or holler at me and get me to come down there with
Yeah.
you, but I'm not gonna just, and it's not that I think they're not being honest, it's just that I've gotta be able to show
There has to
that
be
person, if I'm gonna
proof.
charge you $25, I wanna show a picture of why I charge you $25.
And if we need to adopt that policy, I guess, or push for that to be included in the next, union handbook or policy, that's fine, but I think it's, at the current point in time, just a conversation that can be had with
Right,
the
I
cleaning
think-
crew to.
But they don't work for us,
That is also true.
they're civic center employees,
But-
contracted by the city.
Still, nevertheless, I believe that when we have a conversation,
That's a-
ask them to take
yeah,
a photo or
I
bring
have-
someone
I have.
prior to.
And that-
That's a different issue.
Most-
The
most
language
of them
in
are-
our policy
Yeah.
seems very clear and gets the point across to people making bookings.
So,
We expect
So,
the organization using the room is responsible for cleanup.
okay, so we're gonna go down the bullets and just say yes or no.
And what I'll do tomorrow, I should slow down a little bit, I still gotta do the full board packet, but what I would suggest is once we go through this, I will pull up the draft, send it to you directly, because you're like proofreader extraordinaire. And we can bounce it back and forth until we get something that,
Yes, I can do that.
really quick question about the 3 hours though. This says room rentals are in 4-hour increments only, so should we change it to 4 hours?
or should it be as much time as needed?
No, I mean,
Okay. Oh, for,
for the Macon County will not be charged a fee for the first 4 hours of each reservation, because then it would align with all of the fee schedule.
yeah, I'm okay either way, but we need to update this fee schedule anyway, because the discounted rate for government and nonprofit is out of date, because we don't give them the discounted rate. But the top half is what we currently charge. But that's only to for-profit organizations currently.
Yep, okay. So, we're gonna want to say no to that?
I think it's actually very useful.
Okay, well, we'll try it, and then we'll see what happens.
Are there, should we put any language about library affiliates, like, that doesn't count for them, like Friends of the Library? No?
It wouldn't count them, like, they're not using our meeting rooms for that.
Well, they do for,
Board meeting
their-
rooms.
for Staley, for their board meeting,
Right.
but that's just once a month.
That's
What about committee meetings?
Their committee meetings, they have, I don't know where they.
They have them out, they don't.
I
They
think
probably have them
I
in
think
their room.
Yeah, they've got an office, they've got their own space, so they can do that stuff there. Foundation, that was.
We're just here.
Very good, very good, more than once a month, but, and, yeah, I don't think that would be an issue.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I mean, yeah, like, this isn't like set in stone, so let's,
yeah.
and you could ask Michelle too, like if she has feedback too, like on this. Community rooms may be reserved no more than 90 days. We were gonna X that out because we do have, it is kind of nice to plan in advance, I guess.
Maybe the second sentence can stay though, the community rooms are not considered reserved until the library staff has confirmed the reservation.
And I believe we used to have similar language in our policy that we got rid of.
Refreshments are allowed, but should be carefully planned to reduce messes. I mean, we could just get rid of the second sentence.
Yeah.
I think we should get rid of all of it because we do already have something that says if food or beverages are served, the organization using the room is responsible for cleanup.
I'm cool with that. Community rooms include tables and chairs, but groups using community rooms are responsible for their preferred arrangement. I love that language.
Yeah.
Except we're changing it to $25. I love the disabilities inclusivity, special room setup fees in addition to any other fees that may be required for the reservation. I think that's something self-determining. Reservation changes and cancellations must be made no later than 24 hours prior to the reservation. I like that language better than what's on here. So I'm cool with that one too. So then we go to the next, this next section. We talked about this one already, but I don't know how we feel about it necessarily.
I'm okay with having that right.
We reserve the right.
Reserving that right.
But we don't have to take it.
We've got to be careful about how we use it. We'll call Carl and have him cancel on folks, but,
Well, you said it doesn't have to carry on.
Yeah.
well, there's times that I mean, staff would love us to do. I mean, because they're having, again, they're the ones having trouble finding space to do programs that they're trying to do for the public. And there's like, there's times where they would love us to, get on the phone and
Because the
call.
bookings have exploded.
Exactly.
We
Right.
have had instances where they get us like 2 minutes before we reserve something that we have planned.
I think we're doing better because now the program librarians are booking space in advance just in case.
Yeah.
They're just booking placeholders. So they're not overdoing it, I don't think, but at least they've got stuff where now I'll think of a program to put in that
Yeah.
time.
I think the next one is good. The reserves the right to cancel a meeting space reservation because of weather-related or building emergencies. Meeting attendees are subject to all library policies, including patron expectations and internet and computer use. Let's make sure that we're using our policy language.
Library use guidelines.
Yes. Patrons using the meeting spaces must comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws such as hiring an interpreter. I actually love that. I don't know that they will do that, but we're telling them that they should provide that, not us. So, I mean, do we have to be able to install that? Yes or no?
I like that.
No.
And we'd love to have the money and the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I
let's make sure that it matches.
The language matches, because I believe ours says something to the effect that library programs, Friends of the Library Foundation, and it doesn't say specifically an author. It's
Yes.
a little bit more broad.
Yeah, so let's make sure, we'll make sure that it matches, and that would also replace something like.
But there's also, they may request approval to sell their own published works, which I think is good, yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna check that, check public policy. Meeting spaces should be left in the same condition in which they were found. All patrons are responsible for reimbursing the library for any damages or security measures related to the meeting. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Like I like that, it may be, you know,
Kind of combine it with what?
With the fee we already have.
Yeah.
Yes.
If a patron no longer plans to use the meeting space during the reserved time, the patron is expected to notify the library. If the patron is more than 15 minutes late or leaves it for more than 15 minutes, the library may cancel the reservation to allow another patron to use the meeting space. Is that more for like smaller, like study rooms, or?
It might be, but they do say meeting space, and they have specific, I didn't include it in here, but they have specific a study room policy.
Okay.
So I don't know how that works with 24-hour notice. It's an earlier
That's
24-hour
canceling.
notice.
If you're just doing a no-show,
Mhm.
then in 15 minutes, it's no longer yours.
Yeah.
If you show up 30 minutes late to your reservation.
Are you guys like checking it that closely though? Like, I mean, are you, like?
I mean, that takes, somebody to do it.
I don't-
You know what I mean?
I would say.
Well, if we're booking everything in 4-hour blocks, if someone's 20 minutes late,
Well,
is someone
Let
noticing?
me clarify the 4-hour block thing. The thing is, since there were fees, what we were saying is you can't say 1 hour.
Yeah.
You got a 4-hour minimum. You can only use it, you can just use it for 1 hour if you want to, but we're gonna charge you for
Right,
4 hours.
yeah.
Right. It was more about, that's, from the early days when we charged everybody, and
Okay.
Maybe instead of, if you're 15 minutes late, you lose it, maybe it's more like, and I don't know how to word this, but if you book it from 2 to 6 and you don't show up till 4, you don't get it 4 to 8 now. Your 4 hours don't start when you arrive.
I hope that's a given.
Yeah, because you've
No,
already,
I booked it for 4 hours.
yeah, but you did it for a specific time.
yeah, but yeah,
But I guess if I read this and I go, okay,
is 15 minutes like is that,
reservation changes and challenges may be no later than 24 hours. And then if you're not gonna use it, you gotta give us, you
Yeah.
gotta notify the library, we already said that.
Yeah, I don't think we need this.
It feels
necessarily.
redundant.
Just
The first-
because, and
the first
also
sentence at
because you
least.
don't have, like, yeah, for sure the first sentence, but then like, you don't have any way to track that, so I don't, I mean.
But it does say the library may cancel to allow someone else to use it.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
I would just strike the first sentence. And
Well, you
I
can
think-
add that to over here, reservation changes and cancellation must be made no later than 24 hours prior to the reservation
I'm okay with that.
to allow other patrons to use the space.
so, and then, okay, we already have that, if you don't show up then twice.
Right.
then-
Yeah, so reservation changes and cancellations must be made no later than 24 hours prior to the reservation. Otherwise, the library reserves the right to,
Got it.
I don't even know if you should give it 2 chances.
I said 2.
Oh, I said one a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think
Because,
I'm okay with that.
I think it should be 1 too. If I'm not talking cancellations, I'm talking no-shows.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you've already.
If you have a
You
real
didn't
reason to
notify us,
cancel.
you didn't,
Yeah, that's 1.
yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
But if you cancel for a real reason,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. No call, no show should be a 1 strike and, okay.
That's how my hairdresser is.
all right.
This way out.
So then cleanup and vacating of this meeting space must be completed within the approved reservation time.
And we just wanted to add it, set up, clean
Comma,
up,
clean up, and-
vacating.
Yep. Handles any open flames, smoking, vaping, and alcohol prohibited. I like that better than the other stuff because
Yeah.
smoking is more rated.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't hurt to have the no tax nail staples tape.
No, it true, it doesn't.
So, and especially with all our beautiful little furniture.
It's-
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes.
the group organization is responsible for the supervision of all children who participating in children's
Yes.
meeting
Amen.
with the group.
Yes.
Is this-
I am not sure.
Is this redundant though, because aren't we saying meeting is subject to all library policies?
Yes, but I would say, like.
They don't read it.
They're not, the people that are, they're not reading that.
Not regular libraries,
So-
not regular library users, but as, they're not.
If they're not aware of the rules, then it's nice to have it, like, watch your kids.
And like,
That's a point that we don't mind hammering twice.
and we could say, please refer to like the,
It'd be nice to have like an age, what are we calling children?
yes,
Underage.
underage, because
We do have,
we've discussed the
What's-
7 and under.
What, okay.
Yeah.
It's what?
7 and under. It's 8 and older.
We could put in there, we could put like in a link even to
That's
the. to
absolutely
that.
true.
right.
Yeah,
To the unintended children.
yeah.
The library assumes a responsibility for private personal belongings, yes. Personal injury, I think yes. And I think those should be down, like with the other hold harmless, like
Yeah.
meeting spaces are not available for private parties or social events, which could
We
replace.
have language like that already.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like this, it's simpler. I like this
Yeah.
better, it's simpler.
You have personal belongings too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the library's not responsible for personal belongings left in the meeting room.
Yeah.
Just make sure one of them gets deleted.
Patrons are not allowed to use the library as their official mailing address.
Oh, that's fine.
Orders.
I just-
Yeah. I mean, that has to have happened, because they wouldn't have put it in there.
And there was just a discussion on the listserv, the director's listserv, somebody said, is it okay for homeless people to use the library as their permanent address? And like, I think you might be able to get in trouble for that, because it's not true.
It says issuing posters, press releases, like they used the meeting space and sent it to the library. Like they needed a poster for the meeting that they were holding in the meeting space and they just sent it to the library like they had it.
And I bet it probably did happen, yeah.
I think that.
I feel like that should be a different bullet.
It is a different bullet.
Um,
When issuing posters, like that should be a different bullet.
Yeah, so I don't understand how patrons, groups, organizations are not allowed to use the library as their official mailing.
Yeah.
It has anything to do with me.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
So I think
I think
that,
that should be
I
It
separate
almost seems
bullet
like-
point.
Maybe at some point they had someone who's putting the library's mailing address and phone number on their publicity materials, making it look like the library is
maybe.
sponsoring this thing.
I'll also say to that, we're in a public, we're in a open meeting, so I'm not gonna say too much, but we definitely have individuals in the city of Decatur that use the library at this point would very much so apply to, so it's going to stay.
So we like it, we keep it in there.
The official address.
Wait, making it
Or
separate
issue.
bullet
When
posters?
issuing
Okay.
post, well, one, you say we need
Oh.
to issue in the first place, and I would just be more or less
It
in
does
the
come-
official communications
Yes.
that
Yes.
when I
Okay.
say I'm doing so-and-so at the library, it's that it's a public place in the library, I get to use it, not that the library is formally.
Yes.
Right,
an
not
issue.
the-
There are
library.
people will copy our logo and put it on there.
Right, on the
Yes,
posters and
yes.
stuff, so
It has-
that's a separate bullet.
It is a separate bullet.
Are we going
and
to erase the one above it and put it in a different policy?
the mailing
Patrons
address
are not
thing.
allowed to use the library as their official mailing address or
I-
whatever?
You know what, my feeling is, it's never come up. My answer would be no. Somebody asked if we need a policy, we'll pass a policy, but I don't know.
Well, I just mean like, I don't think it's applicable to this policy, so I don't think it should be in
And
this
if it
policy.
did,
Yeah, I agree- I
it
agree
would
with
be-
that.
Doesn't
I'm not
connect
sure.
to meeting rooms.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it
Yeah.
needs to be in any policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, meetings that may become disruptive to other library operations within an immediate meeting. Which,
How about instead of may, how about, let's just read that without the may, and it makes a whole lot more sense.
Okay,
So
yeah.
does that become jurisdiction?
So like, not open to interpretation.
Correct. would we anticipate that it might become? Well, since this might disrupt other people, you have to leave.
The library staff may monitor the use of meeting spaces and enforce library policies. We already
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Yeah.
And the other one, just put in, punch in,
Oh,
the correct.
Yeah. Municipality and government.
I hope to tomorrow afternoon have a draft.
I probably won't see it,
That's okay, but
but I'll have it done on Saturday.
I'll send it to you. That way we're not in any open meetings act violation thingies.
Yes.
And you're great at copywriting, so we're copywriting. Probably both.
All right, is there any other old business? All right, so
Y'all get that order?
take a motion to end the meeting.
Motion to end the meeting.
And all in favor, or we need a second.